You know that old saying, be kind, rewind. Well, the past 7 episodes, folks, you have been kind, and you have listened to Retro Wrestling Rewind. You thought the first 7 episodes were great? You ain't heard nothing yet. Episode number 8, where we cover WrestleMania 2, could be the best one yet. Our breakdown, recap, and recollection of WrestleMania 2 with Alex G and David Fine begins now. Welcome in to Retro Wrestling Rewind. As always, I am your humble host. I am one half of the greatest assembled podcast tag team champions of the world. There are no tag team champions, but if there were, we would be one. I am David Fine, alongside my tag team partner, the man who is, I call him the new Long Island IC, the hell with Zack Ryder, Alex G from Long Island. Man, how are you doing tonight, WrestleMania 2?
I am doing fantastic, as always. Now, WrestleMania 2 is interesting to me because, you have the 3 different locations, one of them being Long Island, New York, my home arena of the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum.
And, I mean, speaking of Long Island and New York area, full disclosure, you are going to the Evolution pay-per-view on Sunday, correct?
I will be there.
And are we going to get a good report on that show coming up, hopefully?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what are your thoughts on, kind of veering away from WrestleMania for a second? What are your thoughts on, do you think it's going to be a good show?
I think the build-up's been crap. I think that's pretty much the consensus going around. Lots of not interesting. I just want to see quote-unquote dream matches that a lot of people signed up for when they bought these tickets, and we're not getting any of them. I don't know why there's a battle royal in the middle of this, but a lot of people that we want to see. So I'm going in with very low expectations. So if they do anything worthwhile, it will exceed my expectations.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of hoping for here. Like, give me something.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have a good time. But, I mean, WrestleMania 2, what were your thoughts on 3 locations? I mean, 3 main...
Well, they got Starrcade did it. So, WWF are going to be like, they did 2, we're going to do 3.
Yeah, how did that work out? Wasn't this the only time they ever did that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a logistical nightmare. Doing it from 2 places is a logistical nightmare. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't tried it again. Try to sell it 2 stadiums and do it.
I mean, it would definitely be a logistical nightmare if anything happened. Like if a satellite feed went something haywire and went wrong, then they have to go to back to one location.
It's a risky proposition. I mean, at least they were smart and they had each event in different time zones. So like the start time would stagger out, which makes more sense than trying to do, one match from one arena and another match from another arena and going back and forth. They were able to stagger the cards so they did all their Nassau Coliseum matches first, then their Chicago matches next, and then the LA matches to close out the show.
Yeah, I mean, and the build up to WrestleMania 2, I would watch the first 3 or the last 3 TNT.
Tuesday Night Titans.
And to be honest,
it was funny because it was only not on Tuesdays. It was on Fridays and then sometimes on Wednesdays.
That's just what I would assume they wanted it to be on Tuesday, but
I think it started out on Tuesdays and then it got moved around, especially when they added primetime.
Yeah, I mean I was watching a couple of episodes leading up, before we started recording tonight, and it's just. I mean, Freddie Blassie. I mean, I'm not gonna, because, well, to be honest with you, I don't remember what he said, but this podcast is it's not family friendly. We say fuck, we say, it's got the.
We tell it how it is. That's the bottom line. We pull no punches.
Hey, folks,
this is unscripted, unfiltered, uncooked. It's raw. Sorry, I got 1993 in the brain.
I mean, folks, if you're offended by it, I mean, it has an E next to the title. I mean, so
no one's getting offended. We don't say offensive stuff.
No, but you know who did say offensive stuff? Freddie freaking Blassie about Mr. T. And
well, yeah, I mean, it's Mr. T. It's 1986. It's Freddie Blassie. You kind of go in again when you if you're watching back these shows, and if you're looking to be offended, you will be. You got to understand the time, right? When these shows take place, the societal differences when these shows take place, and the reality of the situation here, it's professional wrestling, so they were able to kind of sneak under the radar with some of this shit, and they wouldn't be called out on it. Now, as they grow bigger, right, as they've gotten bigger, especially going into the 90s, you'll see some of the parent groups and some of the different organizations go after him, but at this point, they're still literally getting away with murder.
Yeah,
Jimmy Snuka.
I mean, it was well. Hey, he died. He's no longer with us. But
I mean, he's still not a murderer.
Yeah, no. But I don't think it's one of those things that they would definitely not be able to get away with this, in 2018. And the fans are just I don't know if they're smarter. I mean, I've been to a lot of shows, a lot of independent shows that their fans are. To be honest with you,
if it's Long Island, not so much. If this was the Garden, it would have been. But we want to talk about the Long Island crowd once we get to the Roddy Piper Mr. T boxing match, because they play a pivotal role in Roddy's role moving forward. So
yeah, I mean it was, but I mean the shows leading up. I mean they must have been taped on the same day. I mean because they had the same people. They had Hogan
shot in Baltimore, by the way.
Oh wow, see. Little insider knowledge, people, a little inside baseball, as they would say. They had Greg Valentine. They had Jimmy Hart. I mean, God bless Jimmy Hart. I mean, he would put over a sand to a person that lived in Egypt. I mean, he could sell anything. He said that there is 4 things you don't do. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind. You don't don't about the taking the mask off the Long Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. I mean, that man could cut a promo. I mean, what were your thoughts on Jimmy Hart's promos from the 80s?
Jimmy Hart at this point in 1986 is still very, very good. Again, he's not as good as he was in Memphis in the early 80s. He was amazing. He was most likely probably either number 2 or number 3 in terms of managers in the world, in terms of quality and promos they were doing. His run in Memphis, if you guys haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. It's all on YouTube. The entire year of like 1980, 81, 82, 83. They're all up on YouTube. Go check those out. The entire show revolves essentially around Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Hart. So it's super awesome. The first family back then was pretty sweet. Jimmy at this point is still kind of, he's still kind of Jimmy Hart. He would become a parody of himself, say starting like in 87, 88, in 89, 90, and so on and so forth. But at this point in his career, he's still amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely. I mean, you could definitely tell whenever he was at ringside because I mean, he got knocked down a couple of times during the show, and he was underneath the table and he was still screaming, and it sounded like he had a megaphone. He was so loud, but kind of. One last thing on the TNT shows. I mean, Captain Lou Albano. I mean, that man has no shame. He will come out and take off his shirt and jiggle his fat. He's just, I mean,
you heard the story where he was backstage and he was drunk as always because he was intoxicated all the time. And I guess someone said something to him about not being tough. So he took his blade out and he started slicing his face up for no reason. And then he's like, you don't think I'm tough? You don't think I'm tough? Then he took fucking aftershave and then put it on his face. Because he's insane.
Was this whenever he was the manager? Or,
No, he was a manager. He used to do that all the time. He would just take his blade out and just slice himself open in the middle of a match and in front of people. Like, he wasn't even trying to hide it.
Jeez. Oh,
like, it's like Abby and the Sheik. It's like, Christ.
I mean, but you assume the Sheik and Abdul the Butcher are gonna blade. I mean, that's their thing. But a manager, Captain Lou. Anyway, but he was great in that Cyndi Lauper video. But that's
he is one of the underrated forces that kind of created the whole rock and wrestling, and is really responsible for the boom of the WWF in general. If it wasn't for Albano sitting next to Cyndi Lauper on a plane. And then Cyndi being so infatuated with him that she invited him to be in one of her videos, the WWE may not be what it is today. So just keep that in mind.
Just keep that in the old back pocket. But speaking of the matches, we're going to go in order this week. We didn't go order last week. The first 4 matches of the evening of the card were from the Nassau Coliseum. And Nassau Coliseum, have any memories for you?
Well, I went to my first wrestling show there in 1987. It's the Barn. That's what it's called out here. It's the Barn. Recently renovated, by the way. So it doesn't have that kind of old mystique that it used to have, but it's still the Nassau Coliseum, my home arena. Although, to be honest, I've been there and Madison Square Garden about the same amount of time. So,
well, your first match, what was it?
The main event of my first show was Hercules Hernandez taking on Hulk Hogan.
That was actually, it sounds like a good main event. But the first match was definitely not a main event. It went 4 minutes and 10 seconds, 4 minutes too long. The magnificent Morocco with the great Mr. Fuji taking on Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Do you know what's strange about this match right off the bat?
Huh?
They cut promos, like they overdub promos, like in the beginning of the match of like Mr. Wonderful and Paul and and Don Morocco. That was really weird. Like usually there's a box, like you see their face of them talking or they're cut to a promo, but they just dubbed it in over the match, which is they didn't do that for any other matches either. They just did it for that match, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, what were your thoughts on this match? I mean,
well, they had no issue going into this match. Morocco should have been in the match with Steamboat. That would make more sense. And you could dump Paul Orndorff into a match with Hercules Hernandez. Again, this is booked like a 1986 house show, essentially. So it doesn't necessarily make a whole bunch of sense here. Again, Paul Orndorff, his babyface, which is never good for Paul. He's always better as a heel. He had a great heel run in 85, and it would have another great heel run later on in 86 going into 87. So Paul's just being Paul here. He's just in the middle.
Yeah, and on that note, we'll move on to that next match. The next match was, I mean, it could have been good.
It's fun. I mean, the Randy Savage versus George Steele. That's a fun match. It's an angle match. They've been going back and forth. It's the Beauty and the Beast angle where George Steele is in love with Miss Elizabeth and Randy's going insane, which is fun. But it's strange to me that Savage has the IC belt here, and it's supposed to be the workers' belt, but you guys like Honky Tonk Man and the Ultimate Warrior carry that belt too. So maybe not.
Yeah, we won't talk about the Ultimate Warrior being the Intercontinental.
But in this match, it's a fun match. Randy's bumping all over the place for 96-year-old George Steele, which is fun. Again, it's not offensive in any stretch of the imagination. I wish Savage had someone else to wrestle at this card instead of George Steele.
And what were your thoughts on that? I mean, like you said, the Beauty and the Beast, George Steele had this infatuation with Miss Elizabeth, and they kind of played it out heavy on TNT. I mean,
it's all over the place. It's on Saturday night's main event. It's one of their big angles of 1986, and it would last all the way to when Savage drops the belt to Ricky Steamboat in 87, WrestleMania 3. So this feud goes on forever. George Steele was someone that they really got behind. Again, he was an old school guy that started wrestling, in the 60s? So he started out in Detroit with the Sheik and what have you. But he's here now, and he's a part-time wrestler because he coaches and, is a teacher when he's not wrestling, which is weird.
Yeah, that's weird. But speaking of weird, the third match of the night had Jake the Snake
squash match.
Jake the Snake Roberts versus George Wells. I mean, who booked this shit? Why would you have Jake Roberts against George Wells?
I mean, someone had an injury. And I don't know who his original opponent may have been. I'm assuming whoever he was going to face had some sort of debilitating injury, so they can't make the card. George Wells, although he was pretty good in Stampede, essentially a jobber here. And to see a jobber match again at a WrestleMania, again, makes it feel like a 1986 house show.
You know where they put those matches on now? The pre-show.
They're not even on the pre-show. The pre-show actually has decent matches.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird on the pre-show when they defend like the Intercontinental title or the unit. I'm like, really? The pre-show? I mean, come on. whatever. I mean, I would assume that.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a 3-hour pre-show now, so
Yeah, I mean, 3 hour pre-show plus a 6 hour.
I don't understand why can't WrestleMania be 2 nights? Because you get you get 2 sellouts.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do that. But the next match, I don't. It's just weird. Mr. T
With the Haiti Kid.
with the Haiti Kid and Joe Frazier, he defeated Roddy Piper with Bob Orton and Lou Duva by disqualification. Thoughts on this match?
It went too long. That's first and foremost. It's clearly, you can clearly see here that Roddy Piper is a better boxer than Mr. T. And if this was a shoot, I'm pretty sure Piper could beat him. Because the way he was kind of, kind of ducking and weaving and throwing his jabs is like, hey, Roddy can throw some hands here. And Mr. T kind of looked like he was out of gas halfway through the first round.
Yeah, I mean, it was
The funny thing about this, though, is the Long Island crowd, who after this match, after Roddy Piper threw the chair and then body slammed Mr. T, they started chanting for Roddy. They go, Roddy, Roddy. You can clearly hear it on the audio.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the impetus for the Roddy Piper face turn.
Yeah, I mean, because if you looked in the, as they call it, the old Cliff Notes on Wikipedia, and I mean, it's something that's well known. This was the last pay-per-view that Piper was on. For a while, he took a little, break. I think he was maybe doing a movie or something.
I don't think he was doing They Live yet. I think it was another film that he made done before that. Again, going to this angle, again, they're still having the issues from WrestleMania 1. Roddy Piper shaved the Haiti Kid's hair. That's pretty much the entire angle. And then you have Lou Duva, who is a world-famous boxing manager. And then you have Smoker Joe Frazier, the former world heavyweight champion of the world. So a good use of celebrity involvement here. Boxing matches and wrestling, I can't stand them, by the way. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. I've never seen a good one, for the exception of Johnny B. Bad taking on Scotty Flamingo. That's the only good boxing match I've ever seen in wrestling history. They keep on doing that. Between that and the goddamn freaking arm wrestling matches, no more, no mas. I'm tapping out from that. Don't do that shit again.
Yeah. Please no arm wrestling matches. But the next match was from the Rosemont Horizon. The next the next 3 matches will be from the Rosemont.
4 matches.
Sorry, 4 matches. I cannot.
I know you don't count Fabulous Moolah versus Melvin McIntyre,
No.
but that is a match.
But it's okay. So they start out with it's Fabulous Moolah. She's the WWF Women's Champion.
After the screw job, after they screwed Wendy Richter.
Hey,
out of the belt, the original screw job.
Oh, I thought this was another podcast. Oh, okay, I understand.
Can we talk about how I think that Fabulous Moolah is Vince McMahon's mom? I'm pretty sure that's legitimate.
Why do you think that?
Well, it's funny to me, a couple of things. Number one, that she was featured so heavily here through the 80s, right? Number two, the way she talked about Vince was very odd to me. No one in her presence can ever talk bad about Vince or she would fuck you up. I've never seen that kind of reaction. That's a motherly reaction. And I'm pretty sure that, Vince Sr. and Moolah in her day, stuff could have been going down. So my theory is that Moolah is Vince's mom.
Yeah, I mean, and Fabulous Moolah, she was the one. She's the ladies champion that kind of has that controversy on her right now, doesn't she?
Well, she's a pimp.
Pimping ain't easy.
Yeah, she pimped out a lot of the female workers. I mean, that's documented to the point where Moolah never actually cared to deny it.
I mean, yeah. But the funny thing is about this match is, I mean, other than it's Fabulous Moolah versus Velvet McIntyre.
McIntyre.
They and she wrestles with
that's
no
Drew McIntyre's mom. You know that, right?
Are you,
just kidding.
Shut up. And she wrestled with no shoes on, so
yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
But and they
women's wrestlers back in the day, although obviously legitimately tough women, are all gross looking.
Yeah, I mean the women's wrestlers nowadays.
Even Wendy Richter, who's like the hottest one from that time frame. It's like I don't know about that.
And what are your thoughts on the look of the female wrestlers now? Most of them, except for there are a couple that.
I mean, they all look like models. I mean, Even if you want to even say Nia Jax, but she was a model before she
Yeah.
got into wrestling.
Yeah. So,
So it's like they're all models. Do we need some ugly women in professional wrestling? We do. Mean that we need like the Bertha Faze and your Luna Vachons and that kind of. I don't mean ugly in the cosmetic sense. I mean like mean, nasty, rough. Like I'm gonna mess you up. Like if you saw Jazz, right? She's not an ugly woman. She is
the
beautiful.
current NWA Women's Champion.
But she will fuck you up.
Yeah, I mean, and if you want to see some ugly wrestlers and some ugly fans, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Ugly wrestlers, go to an independent show. I mean, nowadays the WWF. I mean, it's sports entertainment. It's
You go to some indies in North Georgia, you'll see them.
yeah, and they will have I have more teeth in my mouth than people have in their whole family. But
Ooh.
that's neither here nor there. That's a
Why are you gonna say that about these people? You live right near them. They're gonna come after you now.
because you know why? Because they don't know my real name. It's funny, when you've been in wrestling. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not my real name. Oh, I'm sorry. It's it's bad whenever you're when you're trying to get advertising for the show, and the guy you're trying to get advertising with only knows you by your gimmick name. That's fine. and I mean I know his real name. He knows my real, but that we don't call it. Wrestling, it's a big world, but it's a small world. But speaking of matches that had, I don't know, it shouldn't have happened. Corporal Kirshner defeated Nikolai Volkov with the classy man Freddie Blassie in a flag match in 2 minutes
flag match
and 5
makes this
seconds.
interesting. Essentially, Corporal Kirshner is Sergeant Slaughter's replacement. Not as good as Slaughter, obviously, not as over as Sergeant Slaughter, and wouldn't last very long. In the WWF, he had a better run as Leatherface in Japan, which is an awesome gimmick, by the way. But Corporal Kirshner versus Nikolai Volkov in a flag match, 1986. I still kind of get it. You're still in the Cold War here. Obviously there's some alliterations to Rambo or Corporal Kirshner or what have you. It's like whatever. But Hogan would take a lot of those pro-American traits away from Slaughter and from Corporal Kirshner, because depending on what Hogan would be wrestling, he would play up his patriotic pride versus any kind of foreign menace. We wouldn't see that in a while though, so we won't see it again until 1991.
Gotta ask you a question. Okay, so I was watching after WrestleMania 2 on the TNT show. Was it me or did they have a "This Is Your Life" Nikolai Volkov?
Pretty sure they did. Did he sing?
I didn't watch the whole thing because it was they had Freddie Blassie on there, and then they had someone else on there, and then they had somebody playing his sister. It was I don't understand. Wasn't Nikolai Volkov a heel?
Yeah, I mean, but they did that with a lot of heels. Like they try to, I guess, humanize them in some way and give them
kind of embarrass them too.
Yeah, I mean, they made a lot of people look ridiculous on that show. Even the guys like Andre, they made look ridiculous on that show. But the show in general is ridiculous. So you kind of know what you're going for when you're going to watch that show. You're going to say, I'm going to see some wild stuff. It's all going to be ridiculous. Some of it may suck, and some of it might be the greatest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
The greatest thing I've ever seen on that show, there's two things. There's the At Home with Dr. D. David Schultz, which is amazing. And there is the workouts with Paul Orndorff, which is also very amazing. Check those things out if you haven't.
I mean, I would definitely check them out this week. The things that the WWF did, like with the $1 Million Man, those promos, and then when they went to the park and the pool, and they're really good at that. But the next match was the WWF versus NFL Battle Royal. Went 9 minutes and 13 seconds. The winner was the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant. He won by eliminating Bret Hitman Hart. The weird thing is, and I'm sure, of course, you know that because you're Mr. History Man, and this is the last time. Well, actually, not the last time. This was right before. Actually, no, it was not right before. It was. I think it was kind of in the midst of Andre's, debilitating illness that he had. And he took
you can tell already that he's already slowing down. Like if you see Andre in 83, 84, he's much more mobile at this point. Like, he spent most of the time kind of just hanging, in the corner or standing by the ropes. You don't get the short end of the stick in this battle royal, and and I feel bad for in general, is my man Dan Spivey. Dan Spivey is legitimately one of the scariest, most intimidating dudes on the face of the earth. And if you watch him in this match as the Golden Boy, Dan Spivey, he looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, it was. I mean, it was a good match. I mean, what were your thoughts on like having the NFL people in there? I mean,
I think that's. I mean, again, William Refrigerator Perry is a major league celebrity, so having him involved in this kind of match makes sense. I can live with the celebrity involvement here because they're legitimate athletes, right? You've seen Harvey Martin and Jim Covert, Russ Francis. Those guys are legitimate athletes, but the man who stole the show for me was Bill Fralick. I don't know why he's not a wrestler. Like, he had heel written all over him. He did a promo with Big John Studd, which he called him Big John Dud, which is hilarious to me because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he's almost as big as John Studd. And, John Studd is a huge, huge man. And I thought he would have done an amazing job. Again, he's an Atlanta, Falcon. Again, he had a big, he had a pretty prolific football career, but I think he would have done an amazing job in professional wrestling. He had a good look about him too.
Yeah, I mean, he did really well. I mean, and speaking of, like the winner, Andre the Giant, he would, I guess his manager at the time, they kind of got him, I guess what they call him, they got him suspended,
Well, he no-showed the event. That's
he
no-showed. He no-showed a show. And then Bobby Heenan got him suspended because they're still doing the stud. And Bundy was involved with this feud, too, when they cut Andre's hair. So they had sent him away. I think he went to go do Princess Bride. Either that or, was it Conan?
I think it was one of those. It was actually
Conan or Princess Bride.
It was Princess Bride. And then he came back as one half of the Super Machine. No,
the Machines in general, with Axe as, I think, Super Machine, and then Blackjack Mulligan is Big Machine. I think that's how it went.
I mean, it was definitely a.
I love their theme music, by the way.
Yeah, maybe we'll play it.
We play it every episode on YouTube.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, kind of going on a side note, folks. If you have not heard Alex G's YouTube channel, there's only. It's kind of like the Miz would say, it's awesome. And kind of give a halftime break. How would people actually be able to find your YouTube channel and subscribe and follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, this is what you do. You go to YouTube, right? You type in retro wrestling games. Well, the first thing that pops up, we have 240 videos currently on YouTube. Again, most of them running anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. Again, there's video game reviews, there are arcade game reviews, there's a booking simulator of 1984, a lot of stuff going on. We are blowing up, we're getting huge, so you want to get on the bandwagon early. So I highly suggest it. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, again, we're over 3,000 Twitter followers currently on Twitter. You want to catch us at RW Games Presents on Twitter.
Boy, you have over 3,000?
I do.
Wow.
You know how hard I had to work to get that? It's ridiculous.
How hard did you work to get that?
Really, really hard.
Well, that's good. Hopefully you didn't do that thing that a lot of people are doing, is buying followers. I know you don't buy your followers. All your followers are actual followers, but
because that makes no sense, right? Because to me, if you buy followers, they're not real people anyway.
No.
And the whole idea of the Twitter is to promote the YouTube channel. And so if I'm tweeting my video out to people who are not real,
they're not going to watch it. They're not going to watch it. And
right.
I kind of folks behind the scene curtain, pulling back. I found out that Alex G and his co-host of the Retro Wrestling Games channel have found each other on the Imaginary Wrestling Association. Isn't it? Yeah, IWA. Correct?
The IWA. I currently is a commissioner of one of their leagues there.
And I remember playing this back in the mid-'90s. I found it on the back of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I sent in my money in an envelope, and you know what happened to me? I never won.
Lost.
Yeah, I didn't face you because it was back in the mid-'90s.
Oh, I just started playing. So I know a bunch of guys who've been playing since '85. And they've been playing it straight through. I know a lot of guys who started in the mid-'90s. And there's actually a method to the madness of, we put out a video saying how to win in the IWA. So if you're interested in playing, go to playiwa.com. You can sign up there. And we have a tutorial video about how to, you may not win every match, but you'll be super competitive and you'll have a lot of fun.
And
You can win a real belt, which I have.
And is it mostly online now? Or I know you said it was play by mail. Do you actually send something in the mail?
You can. That option is still available. Again, the game has not changed a whole lot since 1985.
I mean,
although a lot of public pressure have put on them to at least update their the way they do business. So now there's PDFs available online, so you don't have to wait for something to come in the mail. You can just go to their website and just click on whatever league you're in. The PDF of the bulletin for that cycle will come up. You can also send your matches via email and then pay with a credit card via email as well. So, the days of sending, $5 in cash in an envelope to Whittlewick, Ohio is long gone.
And hopefully that it got there. But I do remember getting the old newsletters in the mail. It was a fun time. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go outside. But speaking of things that, were a good problem. I mean, Brutus Beefcake, he's in the next match. They had the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid, with the great Captain Lou Albano and Ozzy Osbourne. I think this is back before he was doing a lot of drugs because he did an interview.
He was clearly on drugs here.
Yeah, well, I know,
not so much. No, he's on drugs. He's wearing that pink Miami Vice suit.
Yeah, but you've watched the stuff on MTV and you've heard him talk recently. He didn't talk like that back then, but that's neither here nor there. They defeated the Dream Team. That's funny. One of these people was could be in a Dream Team, but the other one is Brutus Beefcake. They were with Johnny Valiant.
Johnny V, luscious Johnny Valiant, who, by the way, was roommates with one Vince McMahon in military school.
Huh.
They've been friends since they were children. Probably why he has a job here. Yeah, because he's awesome, right? He's fantastic. It's just he felt very 1979 in a 1986 world. He looked like it'd be like having like the Grand Wizard out there. It's weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, what were your thoughts on this match?
Like to see the Bulldogs getting the belts here. I mean, they debuted a year before, right before WrestleMania 1. So it took them a whole year for them to get the belts. Again, they're probably the best tag team in the world. 1986, you might be able to say it's either them or Rock and Roll at the Midnights, but they're definitely in the top three, depending on where you put them. But they're fucking awesome here.
Yeah, man.
Like to see them get the belts here. Brutus Beefcake is still in his stripper gimmick, which is off-putting slightly. Pre-Barber days. Post main events with Hogan too. So he's basically, tag team champions. Who'd they beat? Did they beat the U.S. Express? I want to say they did.
Who? British Bulldogs?
No.
Dream Team. To be honest with you, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's the way that went because, or maybe not. I'm having because the U.S. Express lost the belts at WrestleMania 1 to Sheik and Volkov. Right? Mm-hmm. And then the Dream Team would have had to beat them to win the belts back.
You would think.
Yeah, they beat them on maybe August 24th, maybe. They definitely beat the U.S. Express, though.
The dates don't matter. As long as we know that they did beat the U.S. Express and the Dream Team lost the belts to the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid with Lou Albano, and Ozzy Osbourne. That concluded the Rosemont Horizon portion of WrestleMania 2. We go on to the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena, which is that the Staples Center now?
No.
Different.
The Staples Center, I believe, was the Great Western Forum.
Okay.
That's where the Lakers played.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena is right next to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Okay. Home was supposed to be the home of WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, and the first match there was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Why?
Defeated Hercules Hernandez in 7 minutes and 27 seconds. What were your thoughts, and why do you hate this match so much?
because it's not Ricky Steamboat versus Don Morocco. That's why I hate it.
Yeah, it's a young Ricky Steamboat. I mean, he's
not that young. He's 12 years in the business.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well,
younger than he is now, clearly.
Yeah, clear. Well,
again, if Ricky Steamboat could not get a match out of Hercules Hernandez that was good, there's no one on the planet that could have.
Yeah. And speaking, sorry, since you have nothing else good to say about, and I'm a big Ricky Steamboat fan.
I like Hercules and Power and Glory though.
Yeah, well, that's for another day. I hate Power and Glory, but that's beside the point.
Are you still mad that they screwed the Legion of Doom out of the tag belts at WrestleMania 7?
Yeah, that's a sore subject, brother. You just want me to? I'm going to end this Skype right now and go. No, the next match we had Adrian Adonis, the adorable one, versus Jimmy Hart. When Jimmy Hart defeated Uncle fucking Elmer. It's kind of like the Jake Roberts, George Wells match.
I think longer. Uncle Elmer was a bigger story. This is Playboy Frazier for those of you who don't know. I guess his biggest claim to fame is getting married on Saturday as the main event.
Oh yes, I remember that.
So that was a big deal. Having Adonis here, and he's full, adorable Adrian Adonis mode here, going after Uncle Elmer. It's not good. I've seen Adonis have better matches. All Uncle Elmer matches suck. So, yeah.
So we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do an Uncle Elmer edition of Retro Wrestling Rewind.
I mean, if we're talking about maybe Memphis, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, to be honest.
Everyone's better in Memphis, just like everyone's better in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody's better when they're not in WCW, but that's neither here nor there. They're good in the NWA, but folks, if there is a match, if there's an angle, if there is a wrestler, if there's a territory you want us to cover, just tweet us at the RW Rewind on Twitter.
I can go 45 minutes on Zeus, by the way, if necessary.
I heard you can go a lot longer on other things, but that's we're talking about podcasting here. We have kind of that's in the future, but it's just if you have something, just tweet us at the RW Rewind, or you can go to retrowrestlingrewind.com and just click on the contact information. And just folks, we're not really a service industry, but we want to make our fans happy.
I don't mind servicing you.
Anyway,
you can take that exactly how it sounds. By the way, before we get into the next match, I teased on the last episode that I was going to present an alternate main event for this show. Now, a lot of people would probably think I'm going to say Hulk Hogan taking on Bruiser Brody, because that was some of the rumors going on at the time. That was going to be Hogan and Brody at WrestleMania.
That would have been a great match.
And that would have been fantastic, and everyone would love that match, and it would have been insane and awesome. And hopefully Brody would have done business here. But my alternate main event for this show would have been, I want you guys to picture this. It's 1986. You're in your parents' basement. There's wood paneling. You have one of those big TVs, but it's broken, so you have the smaller TV on top of the bigger TV. That's a piece of furniture. Your TV has a dial on it, so you click, 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 click. So it's 1986, and picture this main event. You have the incredible Hulk Hogan, the WWF Heavyweight Champion, taking on Terry Funk inside of a steel cage in Los Angeles. Special guest referee, Sylvester Stallone. And why Sylvester Stallone, you say? Obviously, there's a connection there with Rocky 3 with Hulk Hogan. Also, Terry Funk, who starred in many, many Stallone movies. Would it be Paradise Alley, Over the Top? He was actually the fight choreographer. He actually choreographed the fight for WrestleMania 5. So when you see Rocky Balboa throw a German suplex in WrestleMania at Rocky 5, thank Terry Funk for that.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry Funk. So what you're telling the loyal listeners of the Retro Wrestling Rewind is that it's basically the same as the main event of WrestleMania 2 right now, except just substitute put Terry Funk in for King Kong Bundy.
Yeah. Don't forget that Hogan and Funk were feuding right before this. So if you watch the TVs in late 85 and inside as main events, it's It's Hogan and Funk on top, and then they switched to Bundy like a few weeks before their show. So it definitely could have worked in terms of a timeline. It's a very plausible main event. And then if you would have took all the money you spent on the C-list celebrities that you got for their show, you probably could have afforded Stallone.
Yeah, I mean, they would
Stallone being the draw on this, of course.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
There's not a bigger actor in the world than Stallone in 1986. I'm sorry.
And speaking of the aforementioned Terry Funk, that you would have put in your dream rebooking of the main event of WrestleMania 2, he was with his brother, Haas Funk.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Huh?
With Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. They defeated the Junkyard Dog.
Okay, Meltzer.
And Tito Flying Burrito Santana. I mean, I would
like to see a Terry Funk taking on Tito by himself.
I I love Tito Santana so much that I went and bought his action figure, and I have Tito yes, I'm starting a rumor. I have Tito Santana in my hands right now, and he is awesome. I'm a big fan.
So you were the person who bought that figure because there was a running joke in a lot of the Facebook groups they would go into the local Walmart or Target, and like the only figure left on the peg would be Tito.
Yeah, I mean,
so it was you. It was you.
Yes,
dirty dog.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. Actually, I bought him for my friends. Was like my buddy that I work with. He was like, "Oh, you bought
El Matador Tito Santana or Strike Force?
Strike Force Tito Santana."
There it is.
And he was like, "Oh, you bought him for your son?" I'm like, "Yeah, I bought him for my son." He was like, "No, you didn't," because they're currently up in the studio right now. I have the great Eddie Guerrero. I have Kevin Hall, Scott Nash, the living legend Larry Zbyszko, Stephanie.
Did you say Kevin Hall and then Scott Nash?
Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Jesus,
that's like a bad indie promoter.
Yeah, and then I had Stephanie McMahon, the great Mick Foley. We had
pre or post boob job.
Mick Foley.
No, Mick Foley only had 2 boob jobs.
I don't know. Let me feel them. Yep, it was post.
Okay.
And then I had the small figures that have of the great Double A Arn Anderson, the Pride of Rome, Georgia, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner, who owns
those are the WCW figures, right?
The small ones.
Yeah.
And currently Scott Steiner owns a Shoney's in Ackworth, Georgia, right now. If you're ever in Ackworth, Georgia, go see him at the Shoney's and ask for the ham cubes, and he will know exactly what you mean, and he'll probably
rip your fucking head off is what he do.
But speaking of figures, we're going to get off the topic again. Have you heard the Major Wrestling Figure podcast?
I watched the YouTube show that they have when they go into to toy stores and buy a obnoxious amount of retro toys. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, and every week they're like, "Oh, I bought this and that." I'm like Kurt Hawkins, he buys like $30 worth of figures. Zack Ryder buys like $1,500 worth of figures.
But he's the type of guy that will buy them and then like get bored with them and then sell them.
Yeah, but
so he doesn't really hold on to them. He probably has a huge collection, but I think a lot of those. Number one, I think the WWE is probably paying for those.
Yeah, probably.
Because whatever. But
I mean,
I collect action figures, so I definitely have a.
Do you have a wrestling action figures?
Yeah.
We'll have to do a special show on retro wrestling figures.
My biggest focus right now is Star Wars, but.
Yeah, well, I'm not into that, but a lot of people that I work with love Star Wars, but that's beside the point. So your thoughts? I mean,
are you a Star Trek guy? I feel sorry for you.
No. I mean, no.
Spaceballs?
I mean, I love Spaceballs.
Indiana Jones?
Yeah. I'm a big Back to the Future mark.
Okay.
I love Back to the Future. I love listening to a Back to the Future podcast. They're actually where they watch the entire movie and they go minute by minute. It's actually pretty good. But
I'm considering buying a DeLorean, by the way. Only $20,000. It's not bad.
Only? Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, you can buy a $20,000 DeLorean if we can get a $20,000 sponsor.
I might just buy it for fun.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. Hey, good luck with that. What were your thoughts? Huh?
I'm buying it. It's going to happen at some point.
Yeah. Well, I know you are. I mean, this match. I mean, it is what it was. I mean,
It's 11 minutes. It's probably 5 or 6 minutes too long. I'd much rather see Tito and Funk, Terry Funk, that is, in a singles match, and Dory Funk Jr. Terry told me personally, I had a conversation with Terry Funk that his brother Dory was the greatest NWA champion of all time. So I tend to believe him. Not so much in 1986 though.
No, it's, I mean, and the thing about the NWA, I mean, back then is, they were good. Now they're coming back. So that's probably touch on that in a future episode. I mean, and speaking of things we're touching on, the main event, the blue fucking cage.
It debuts on this show, by the way.
I mean, do they use it more? Because I mean, maybe
this is the first time they've used it. I guess the rumor out there is so Hogan could get his feet and climb the cage. So they made it's a blue ladder essentially that wraps around the ring. So Hogan can actually get up and get out of the cage. That's essentially why it's there instead of having the defense that they had prior to that. So the big blue cage, I think they should bring that back. It's better than that red cage they had for Hell in a Cell. That was awful.
Yeah, that was
it was gross. That gave me fucking the runs.
Oh, that's lovely, and I'm sure that people at home are just like, thanks. I mean, what were your thoughts on this match? I mean, it was. I mean,
I like the fact that they got color on this match because again, you didn't see a whole lot of blood in WWF television during this time frame. So I think this match definitely needed it. Having Elvira, which we'll talk about the celebrities in a minute, having Elvira kind of be Elvira during this match was like she's supposed to be like the mistress of the dark, and she's like, "Oh no, they're getting hurt." It's like that's weird. And stay in character. You're supposed to be loving this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
it's
it was
weird. Like you're a vampire lady who is like scared of the sight of blood, so it's weird. She had big boobs.
What?
She did. Elvira had big boobs.
Yeah, I mean, she did. Definitely.
That was the gimmick.
Yeah, and I mean, and she's. I mean, if you've seen her recently on her.
Still has big boobs, I assume.
Yeah, no, when she's really pretty for her. I mean, I'm not sure what her age is, but
I mean, she has to be in her 60s.
Yeah, probably.
Because this show was what 32 years ago.
Yep, it was 1986. So she's definitely getting up there in age. But
so again, this is another Bobby Heenan guy coming after Hogan. One of the many guys he would bring after Hogan here. Again, they did the angle where Bundy injures Hogan. Hogan has a taped up ribs. They don't know if he's going to come back, but he does the whole thing where he's training with the weights with Hillbilly Jim and his doctor, which was wearing a Hulkamania shirt, which is weird, which is awesome. I wish my doctor wore a Hulkamania t-shirt. That'd been pretty sweet. But they actually did this angle again with Earthquake. It's basically the same as that, just 4 years later. So again, I prefer to be Terry Funk. They were involved in a feud prior to this. Bundy, unfortunately for Bundy, he would do this top run here with Hogan, and then the next year WrestleMania, he's wrestling Hillbilly Jim and midgets. So there you go.
Well,
Bundy in the Hall of Fame, by the way. That's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, hopefully he'll get in there posthumously one day, but
let's wait for Bundy to die, then we'll put him in.
Oh yeah, I'm just
what a dude.
I mean, wrestlers die. I mean, we're gonna be talking about wrestling.
They died. We just lost Dick Slater, which is sad. But when he's not trying to murder his girlfriend, it's sad. But we lose guys every year. Year by year, we lose more of our childhood heroes and become sad because we have to confront our own mortality and understand that we ourselves are getting older as our kind of heroes fade away into dust. So that's sad overall. That's the stuff that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, well, is that really the things that keep you up at night?
That's one of the things. Yeah. Normally it's porn, but what are you gonna do?
Well, yeah, I mean, on that sad note, anything else you want to talk about? Wind up. I'm gonna bitch about the celebrities here for a minute. So okay. I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Again, you have like 65 celebrities on this show. You have Cab Calloway, Daryl Dawkins, Gia Gordon Liddy, Joan Rivers, Joe Frazier, Lou Duva, Herb, Susan St. James, Clara Parra, Dick Butkus, Ed Too Tall Jones, Ozzy Osbourne, Bill Fralick, Ernie Holmes, Harvey Martin, Jim Covert, Russ Francis, William the Refrigerator Perry,
Kathy Lee Crosby, Ricky Schroeder, Robert Conrad, Tommy Lasorda, Anna Elvira, with Ray Charles singing America the Beautiful. Again, Cab Calloway, 1986 at your wrestling show. That's weird. Dad Dawkins, again, NBA player, Chocolate Thunder. That's pretty cool. G. Gordon Liddy? Seriously? Why is he at your show? It was like to me, like all these people had the same agent.
I mean,
and Vince was like, "Oh, just give me who you got." Again, Joan Rivers, obviously an A-list celebrity. Joe Frazier being an A-list celebrity. Susan St. James, the wife of Dick Ebersol, who is the producer of Saturday Night's Main Event, and is responsible for a lot of the advances in terms of production value that the WWF had during the '80s. That's weird. I don't know why the hell she's on commentary. Kathy Lee Crosby, the original Wonder Woman before the beautiful what's her name? Linda Carter.
The hell if I know? I don't know.
No, Linda, you don't know who Linda Carter is, seriously?
Yeah, I know who Linda Carter is, but
All right.
Yeah.
So Kathy Lee Crosby, I don't know why she's there. William Refrigerator Perry, again, A-list celebrity, is good. Tom Lasorda, again, manager of the LA Dodgers. Even Ricky Schroeder, I can understand because he's a kid. He's like their version of Jason Hervey. Like WCW had Jason Hervey, and in my mind, I see Ricky Schroeder and Jason Hervey arguing about which wrestling promotion was better, which is hilarious to me. Yeah. But again, if you even look at the commentators for this, you had Vince, Susan St. James in New York. You had Gorilla Monsoon, Gene Okerlund, and Kathy Lee Crosby in Chicago. Jesse Ventura, which is important for I'll explain why in a minute. Alfred Hayes and Elvira. Jesse doing play-by-play here and not being a heel. Very different. Very, very different.
Yeah, very. I mean, he was kind of obnoxious, but that's just he was hitting on Elvira the entire night.
Oh. But then we had, it's funny because they had the ring announcers. Obviously, they had Howard Finkel in New York. Chet Kopic, who used to do like a wrestling related, like he's like a legitimate like sports anchor, and he did a wrestling related radio show I used to listen to back in the day. Huh. And then Tiger Lee Marshall, the voice of Tony the Tiger. You may also know him from AWA and WCW, doing the ring announcing in Los Angeles.
I mean, it was a stacked show, but
they paid so many people money for this show. Like, there's no way they made money on this show.
No,
even with it, they did 40,000 people, and there's no way they made money.
No, they did. But wrapping it up, once again, if someone wants to watch your YouTube channel, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, if you love,
it is the fastest growing retro wrestling game channel currently in the state of New York. So just keep that in mind, guys. Again, you just type in Retro Wrestling Games Presents in the little search bar on YouTube. It'll be the first one that comes up. Again, we're recording more shows weekly. I'm a little behind, to be honest, in terms of my output, but you'll be getting some shows this weekend. We have a great, fantastic show of the NWA 1984 project and a big event in St. Louis at the Checker Dome. In the main event of that show, you will see Bruiser Brody taking on King Kong Bundy for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So definitely check that out. We have more arcade game reviews. We're going to do the Amazing Spider-Man arcade game. That's coming up also this week. So check it out.
Yeah, I mean, and so folks listening on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and tune in and, of course, online at Retro Wrestling.
I use Podcast Addict because I have an Android to listen to this show.
Hey, I mean, it doesn't matter who. I looked at our statistics on SoundCloud. It looks like we're really big in the United Kingdom, which, I
know something about the UK fans? I'm going to give a special shout out for all the wrestling fans in the UK. You guys love you some wrestling. It's amazing. You guys stay up at all hours of the night to watch live shows. Would it be like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to watch, a random pay-per-view because of the time difference and what have you? You guys are committed, and I wish you guys got more pay-per-views over there. And I'm really hoping one day you guys actually get a WrestleMania. So I'm rooting for you guys because you guys are awesome.
Yes, I am rooting for them. But the thing that we're rooting for next week, if you want to pull it up on YouTube, or if you subscribe to the WWE Network, we're going to be covering Clash of the Champions 31. It's a terrible show. I mean, I know you.
It's not that terrible. I'm a Dungeon and Doom apologist, so
yeah. Well,
I love all.
Oh, folks, you want to tune into this because we're gonna have a heated fucking disagreement because I hated the show. I hate the Dungeon and Doom, but that episode will, of course, will be dropping next
The
week.
Renegades on it.
You know, folks, okay, I'm going to end it on that. For the great Alex G, I am David Fine. We will see you back here same time next week as we cover the shit show that they call Clash of the Champions 31.
Don't be mad you picked it.
I know I picked it, but it was good. The man, Alex G, loves the Renegade and loves the Dungeon and Doom. And you want to
They
find
had
out...
monster trucks.
You want to monster trucks, and they had the Giant. And if you want to know why I'm not a fan of it, tune in next week. But we'll see you back here, same time, same place, exclusively on Retro Wrestling Rewind.
It certainly is a big bun.
It's a very big bun.
Big fluffy bun.
It's a very big fluffy bun.
Where's the beef?
Some hamburger places give you a lot less beef on a lot of bun.
Where's the beef?
At Wendy's, we serve a hamburger we modestly call a single. And Wendy's single has more beef than the Whopper or Big Mac. At Wendy's, you get more beef and less bun.
Hey, where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there.
You want something better. You're Wendy's kind of people.